Welcome to the Connective Media Podcast, and I am your host, Jules Nadalin. Have you ever wondered what it takes to stand out in today's crowded digital space? Join me and my next guest, serial entrepreneur, Joanna Track, the founder of The Good Eggs & Co. She's been building brands before the internet changed the game. She's here today to share her passion and her insights and why you need to serve before you sell. Welcome, Joanna. I am so excited to have you as a guest today.
Jules, it's so good to see you as always.
We have known each other for a while.
I don't want you to say how long.
No.
We're not.
We're not putting a date on this. We're not going to timestamp that. But we're talking back to pre-digital era where it was just starting. It was just getting started. I owned a business on Queen Street. I had my branding, and we connected. And you had started with sweetspot.ca. So do you want to give us a little, Cole's note there? I just dated myself on like the history of all the stuff you've done in your entrepreneurial space.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you my, entrepreneurial CV in a couple minutes or less. I started my career in marketing and advertising, worked at some pretty big, well-known companies like Air Miles and then Ogilvy and Mather. So really where I got my PhD in branding and marketing. And then in 2004, so now we know how long ago it was, I had the idea to launch sweetspot.ca, which at the time was a very novel concept because this is back when internet was very new, email was still new, and email, as far as getting marketing emails, it was pretty much relegated to like B2B, very transactional. There wasn't an editorial spin to them. It was like, you're out of printer ink, restock, or here's your bank statement, kind of thing. And so this idea of Sweet Spot, which I was inspired by a US model, was a daily roundup of all the hot happening things in Toronto, and then later expand to cities across the country, and really was producing a full-on digital magazine. And so that was really, my first step into the foray of entrepreneurship, and also my first step into the world of editorial and digital marketing. Well, digital marketing I had been doing at Ogilvy, but this was now from the other side, not as the agency per se, but as the client itself. And so that was a very exciting run. And yes, that is how we met, when we featured your store on Sweet Spot. Yeah. And then over the years, I ended up exiting that business by selling it to Rogers, and then started a new chapter in about 2011 where I started an e-commerce business called Elux. And that was taking my content passion and experience and marrying it with a commerce play. So it was a content meets commerce destination, selling contemporary women's fashion, but also producing a weekly digital magazine. And it was very new for its time, probably ahead of its time. A lot of people have since said to me, and I've thought about, if I had launched that thing right before the pandemic, it would have had a lot of legs. But in 2011, Canadians were not shopping at the same rate online. They were conservative.
No, very true.
The infrastructure in this country to support e-commerce wasn't there, with shipping and all that. And then, frankly, a sad reality for female entrepreneurs was financing was not available to most female founders. At that time, it was 1% of equity was going to female founders. I think now, these days, we're at a whopping 5%.
Wow.
So things have improved. But anyway, I say all that because that was a very capital-intensive business that required huge capital because we were warehousing, doing the whole thing. And so then I guess I say I took a break from the very high, fast-paced rate of launching businesses. And that's actually when I launched Good Eggs, what I call 1.0, which that was me taking all my experience from those two businesses and parlaying it into supporting other brands in growing their business through marketing. And also at the time, we were building a lot of e-commerce websites for companies, mainly in the lifestyle space. And that was great. It was very fulfilling. Many of them were founded by women entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. So there was that. But after 4 or so years, the itch came back.
The itch. I like that.
The itch.
I know the itch.
I always said, Good Eggs was fulfilling, but I was also felt like I was benched, like I was helping other people grow their brands. I wasn't growing my own brand and building my own content. And so that was when I got this idea to launch The Bullet, which was again leveraging a trend that was happening in the US, which I was seeing these news properties that were delivering the news in new, non-traditional ways, things like The Skim and The Hustle, and there was nothing like it in Canada. And I kind of perceived it as The Bullet was sweet spot for the news. Like, we employed a very similar tone. I had a lot of the same team back, and it was really exciting, and things were going pretty well. And we actually added a second layer of the business where we were white labeling our services to other companies, so helping them with their email newsletters, their content, and things were going swimmingly. And then COVID hit.
Yep.
And in about a second, we went from like growing to on life support, and, you know, wasn't really sure what was going to happen. But throughout that year, we ended up finding someone who acquired the business.
Great.
And
Congratulations.
Thank you. Folded in there for a couple years. But at my heart and soul, I am an entrepreneur. So after about 2 years, got the itch again and decided to put out the shingle for Good Eggs, what I call now 2.0.
2.0.
And rebuild this as a consultancy, marketing support service, working with clients to help them with their digital marketing and content needs. And so that is how we got to Good Eggs that you see and read about today.
Amazing. For some reason, I thought bullet came before. I thought the bullet came before the egg.
Oh,
but it was the other way around.
Well, it did. I guess it came in between. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did. You had 2 eggs. So what gets you cracking in the morning? Like, what keeps you inspired and continuously lights that fire or that itch we keep referring to?
I have to say it's really not only building my brand, but helping these other companies get through their marketing challenges. I actually, little fun fact, I was a math major, so my brain works in problem solving. So I really love when people come to us with a business problem and we work through finding the solution. And then because I'm a numbers person, I like to see the results. So I find that super rewarding. But the common thread through all the businesses I've had, and actually predates my own businesses and from when I was working in others like Ogilvy, is I love mentoring people. I love helping them build their careers. I love building teams and cultures. And so it kind of now has, even though many of my businesses have similar properties, like they're in content, they're in marketing, they all differed in different ways. But the thing that's common through all of them is building a team of really good eggs, and giving them a chance to grow. And that is what gets me up in the morning, and keeps me excited.
That's amazing. So you're sharing all the wealth of knowledge that you've accumulated over the years and helping see people succeed and mentoring them, helping them build teams and growing them. And you get excited about that. And then you see them and you see them succeed. And do you send them off in flight at some point, or is this a long-term relationship?
A little bit of both. So I guess the good news is some of them I see fly the coop and fly the nest and blossom. I mean, there's people who've worked for me who are now CMOs at some of the biggest companies in Canada, have gone on to like major positions. And that makes me so proud. I get random notes from people on LinkedIn saying like that, you know, I was like their greatest boss ever. And that's just like more rewarding than any sale or exit. But then the other good news is the rest of them are still here.
Good.
Which is actually amazing that almost 20 years since the first one, or over 20 years ago, a good portion of my team have been with me through all of those companies and continue to stick around today, including my business partner, Sam.
Sam, yes.
Who I like to mention started as an intern at Sweet Spot and is now my co-founder and partner day to day.
I mean, that's it. When you can stand the testament of time that long with a team, it really says a lot about who you are in a bigger picture as a company, as just human beings, and how you can continue to grow and work with each other. You know, let's talk about some celebrations, maybe, and some success stories about the Good Eggs & Co. outside of your team, if you want to share that. If not, we don't have to do that.
So outside of the team, I'm
I
really
mean, you
proud.
must have so many great stories about this, all this journey and successes and things. And just since we were talking about, your motivation, your fire, and what gets you going, and you've got this longevity with people. That's huge,
Yeah.
So let's
Absolutely.
celebrate
Yeah,
it.
some of the more tangible, I guess, work product successes. We actually we have a Slack community for work, and within our channels, we have one channel called Golden Nuggets, and that's where the team posts like when there's like something performs really well or we get positive feedback from a client, any sort of win. And the ones that we've been seeing a lot of lately, we're doing right now a lot of thought leadership for senior executives, managing their LinkedIn profiles, writing articles on their behalf, that kind of thing. And as of late, we've had a few pieces of content soar like 50,000 impressions, 100,000 impressions, hundreds and hundreds of comments and reactions. And, we hate or loathe, kind of laugh when people are like, can you create something for me that goes viral? Like, you can't do that. You can't manufacture that. Yeah. But we feel if you follow best practices, like, how you post, what you say, hit on a trend, like all sort of the formula. And then when it works and we see it happen, it's so rewarding because we're like, you see, like you do it and you're disciplined about it, it can really perform. And of course, it's nice to see those big numbers. What is like the real payoff is when our clients say to us like, wow, like, this happened and I heard from this person and now I have this strong lead and thank you. And, we see the impact on their business. That's amazing.
That is. And, someone once said to me that they felt like the digital space in social media and in B2B like LinkedIn, they felt like they were throwing spaghetti on a wall and hoping it sticks. But, what you're saying is no, there's some touch points and some reality and some rules to follow to get that engagement. So do you want to talk a little bit about, you said something that resonated to me on LinkedIn that said, serve before you sell. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have a few good eggs isms, the philosophies that we live by, and that's one of them. Marketing as a whole, the word marketing is to market and to market is to sell. So therefore, most people, especially if you're not in marketing, perceive that to mean like promotions, ads, big flashy brand type stuff. And that doesn't really fly so much anymore. It has a time and a place, but, given the world we live in, social media, fast paced streaming, you need to tell stories for people. You need to engage them in something that's a lot more personal and meaningful to them if you're going to keep their attention for more than 3 seconds. Yeah. And people are receiving so many, like literally tens and thousands of messages a day, that what we like to do in our content marketing realm is to serve before we sell. And what that means is giving them something before asking for something. And so our second philosophy of operating is the 3 E's. So every piece of content should either entertain, enlighten, or educate.
Entertain, enlighten, or educate. Making notes.
Right. And so that's what you've given, whether it's an insight they didn't know, whether you make them laugh, or maybe you make them cry. Maybe you give them a piece of inspiration that gets them through a hard day. That's serving before you sell. Right. And then what does that do? That builds trust. That builds a connection and a relationship. And when you have those things, then you're more likely to want to pull the trigger and buy or hire or whatever the action is you're trying to get from someone.
I'm so big on trying to find that emotional connection with people in a digital space, because I always say people buy into people, not brands. So if you find that one touch point of those 3 E's where you're engaging with that someone, they are going to like go take that next step to be like, I need to find out more. And it's, we live in this digital space where we're all lazy too. It's like, to make it easier, you don't want to have to click too much. So there's also that to keep in mind. But once you identify with a situation or have some kind of emotional connection, like it's just, you're done. You're like, you go to the buy. At least I do. So you've got the 3 E's, but you've also said, Date your clients? Did I get that right?
No, I
No,
don't think
okay,
I've dated
no.
any of my clients.
No, that's what I mean.
Well, we talk about dating before you get married. Is that what you mean? Yes.
Yes.
Like we talk about that as far as content as well. Like it's before you're
clients
it's
first.
again, it's serving
date your
before you
clients
sell.
first, getting to know them. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the same philosophy, but it's another way of thinking about it. Like I'll give you a great example because this comes up so often in our work. So, you know, a lot of e-commerce sites, you're coming there and they just want you so badly to convert and make a transaction and buy something. But like that might be okay if it's like protein powder. Maybe that's a $30, $40, whatever purchase. But if you want someone to buy a sofa or a mattress, it's probably not going to be an impulse buy. And so maybe ask them for their email address instead of asking them to spend $1,000 is a much easier ask. So that's what I mean by the dating before you get married. Say, hey, in exchange for your email address, I'm going to give you this coupon, or I'm going to give you this downloadable guide on, you know, how to have the best sleep. That's the like exchange of like give them something for a little something. And then once you have someone's email address, then you can start to get to know them, provide content and continue, as opposed to trying to get them to put a ring on it before you've gone out for dinner.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Now I completely understand what that analogy of dating your clients or enticing your customers, and then you're connecting with them in a marketing wheel as well, where you can reach out to them and you have those touch points. Can we talk a little bit about marketing and how it's changed over the years from your experience, and maybe what you see coming in the future, like what's changing and what's happening?
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. So in my early days of being in the marketing industry, advertising, you were really, it was that above the line, below the line. So yeah, the big brand ads, the biggest spend on TV, then all the below the line, maybe it was a little bit of direct mail and some radio ads and get in the newspaper,
print.
and yeah, all those things. And I mean, this isn't new news. This is now old news. Like that all turned on its head. And, now most of the eyeballs are online and streaming and nobody watches ads. And so people are finding different ways to reach those people. And I think so what we will continue to see is people having less and less attention span. Unfortunately, I don't
We're
think
down to 13 seconds, aren't we, from what I understand in the stats?
Maybe, or less. There's only going to end up being more social channels and more. There's, I can't even tell you what's coming because I don't even know what it is, but there's more coming that's going to compete for our attention because it's profitable for people. But I think there's certain things that always stay the same. So in my 25 plus years now, being, somewhat in this industry or versions of it, it's funny, like when I was at Ogilvy, my mentor there had taught me, and he had this pie chart in this PowerPoint deck that he always referred to, and I'm not going to get the numbers right, but I still think about it today because it was the 4 factors for success for a marketing campaign. And it was the creative, the offer, the timing, and the audience. And if one of them was off, like if you didn't sort of get it right.
Yeah, like if you got the wrong audience.
Yeah, like you can make a great ad, but go after the wrong audience, buy the wrong media, do the wrong media buy, or your product is for women, but you're putting men in the ad, and you're not, whatever, that audience could be off. The creative just could be bad and non-engaging. The timing, right? I mean, timing is everything.
Yeah.
And then the offer was, I think offer was always sort of the last thing, which could be surprising to some. But so no matter what, even though like I started my career in direct mail and now I spend every day in the digital, those fundamentals have stayed exactly the same.
The fundamentals always are the foundation of building that house, regardless of the medium or what we're building. We were talking about not hitting one of those markers on those 4 things. So, you're having an oops moment or a misstep, and it becomes a turning point. And I can't remember who said this, and if you know, actually tell me. I think it was the founder of Nix. I was watching a video. I think she was speaking. She was talking about how society doesn't celebrate oops moments. it's a negative, right? And that really resonated in me. And I'm like, misstep, a turning point, that isn't actually an opportunity to celebrate. So, and I remember celebrations and mistakes in my career as well. Do you have any oops moments you want to share with us?
Well, I've kind of referred to it, but it's funny because what you're bringing up reminds me of a really meaningful moment in my life is, so after things went south with Elux, I was not feeling good about myself. I was, I went from sweet spot, the highest of highs, an exit, accolades, recognition, all that. And then Elux people had high expectations of me. And I gave it my all, but for all that, didn't turn out as I planned. I was in a really dark place and just really having a hard time. But then I got the wheels of motion. I started Good Eggs. And pretty soon after that, someone I knew, sort of a friend of a friend, reached out to me who had a fashion business and wanted to launch an e-commerce site. And he said, I want to hire you because of your failures.
That's amazing.
He said, you've been through it. You've lived to tell. I want you to take what you learned and help me so I don't fall into the same traps. And
what an amazing human.
Yeah.
That is great. And that's definitely things.
And it was very validating.
There's value. There's value in every mistake. And thank you for sharing that very heartfelt, emotional experience. And we, resonating that, it's not a failure. There's always a positive takeaway from everything. I know you and I offline have talked a little bit about the changes in the digital space with AI. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, if you do follow me on LinkedIn, or
I do,
listening to this and you don't, maybe you will. I have a lot to say. I am approached every day, week to give my opinion. I run an agency. There's a lot of copywriting involved. That thought that, how are you guys still in business when AI is taking over all these jobs? And our reality has been that in 2025, we have had to triple our copywriting resources.
Triple.
Yeah. So we can't keep up with the copywriting projects. So if that theory were completely true, and I'll put completely in there, that AI is taking all those jobs away, then this wouldn't be happening. So why is this happening? Because there's still a very large distinction between what AI can and can't do effectively.
Right.
And one of the biggest things it can't do effectively is share your human stories. I mean, you could type in, write me a LinkedIn post about leadership, and it's going to write you a post about leadership, and you can even teach it your voice, and it's going to sound maybe like you. But it doesn't know about the time that you stood up in front of a boardroom of directors and completely screwed up, or you got wrongfully dismissed, and it doesn't know those stories. So it can't add the special sauce to your content. So we use it as a tool. It's definitely helpful. There's a lot of work that it makes more efficient, speeds up. I personally, I do write my own LinkedIn post, but sometimes I'm stuck on a line, or I need a starting place, and it helps me. But I don't think in the near future, at least, and I don't know however it's gonna know all our personal stories. Back in, we keep referring to the early days of the internet, the big sort of looming threat was, TV's dead, print is dead, magazines are dead. They're not dead. They're still alive. Dead. Have they changed? Absolutely. Yeah. But are people still publishing books? Are people still making movies? They're all still, people want those stories. That's what makes us human, is those connections. So there's always going to be a place for that. The distribution and medium might change. Yeah.
Because we went from a print era to a digital era. And it's funny because I have a Gen Z in my life, and fanzines are back. They're starting to print little fanzines. And
really?
Yeah. That was, my daughter was talking to me about that, and I was just going what? That's so retro. And I think that goes back hand in hand with the whole resurgence of vinyl and stuff like that. But I'm always going to use a pen and paper. I'm always going to print things out and highlight, and I too will use AI as a tool when I'm blocked when I'm stuck, or I feel like it needs a little bit more. So I think I totally agree with you that it can never replace the human element. And, that's part of the reason we're here on a podcast is because we want that human element. We want that real connection and celebrate that and not lose it and continue to use it as a tool. What is your message to our listeners, like the good golden egg that you want to send them home with? Maybe it's a Fabergé.
Well,
of a takeaway
we've touched on different areas. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll go back to sort of, the crux of what I do day to day, which is in the world of content and marketing is, it's all about having a voice, being authentic, serving before you sell, the 3 E's, and engaging in a dialogue. It's not a one-way conversation. That's the other thing. Promotions are one way. Content marketing and storytelling is 2 ways.
2-way conversation. Yeah. I always try to put myself in the perspective of my guests or the people I connect with and what their stories are, and don't make it all about me, or us or the brand, and having that conversations and being authentic and being in the moment. So I'm glad that resonates with both of us. Joanna, if someone wanted to reach out to you outside of LinkedIn, what are the ways that they can connect with you? We will put this in the show notes, but if you want to just give it a shout out, that would be amazing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn is definitely a great place to find me, but our website, Good Eggs & Co., you can find us there, goodeggsandco.com, and fill out the contact, and it always comes to me.
Great. Thank you again, Joanna. Well, that's a wrap with our guest, Joanna Track, serial entrepreneur and the founder of Good Eggs & Co. And remember, it's not what you sell, it's about what you serve. Thank you for listening. And as always, remember to stay curious, stay connected, and keep telling the stories that matter.